Oh, you even got the domestic problem shirt on today?
Yeah, the zero question, the best thing that's going to come out of this entire episode is the fact that I can still put this on.
Dude, I'm wearing Austin FC because I tried putting on my domestic problems t-shirt. That don't fit no more. But let me read you from the old dad's book. Here's the thing. I don't think we should go deep into it, but I want to just read a couple things to you of like just things for you to think about. But I think you can rapid fire these with like just all right. First question, which I thought was kind of interesting. What were a few of your favorite songs from high school? Now, just start naming songs. Don't think about it. Like, don't just think. Like, oh my God. All right, let me give you some. I loved Glycerin. I thought it was an amazing song in high school, but I believe that may have came out in 96. I'd have to go back and look. I could be wrong. Maybe not. But I love that song back then. I always can never pronounce this name, but Ananag by They Might Be Giants.
Oh, Anang. Yeah.
Anang. Hook, great song.
Yeah.
Ants Marching, that was a high school song.
Yeah.
So go. Ready, go.
Yeah, no, so your Blues Traveler thing is spot on. I did a ton of listening to Blues Traveler, right? Your Hook, your Runaround, your Poignant Epic Saga, Featherhead and Lucky Lack, and just so many songs listening to, like
my thievery song.
your application thievery. The problem, so where my brain went to was, I remember at the time giving my girlfriend a bunch of crap about the music she was listening to, which ironically ended up becoming the exact stuff that I love in life. Because, and so she was playing like some of the alternative, stuff that was like, Blind Melon, No Rain. Right, like that. Like I remember hearing it on the radio when she would play it, or whatever. I'd be like, this is garbage. And I absolutely love that song now. I love that music now. But that's where my brain went in terms of I was in such a like jock mode back then about listening to your House of Pain and your like all the stuff that we had on our like basketball mixes.
By the way, why do we have You Dropped the Bomb on Me on our mixtape for basketball?
So
what a crappy song. And you know who did it? You know who's responsible for that?
I believe I do, but who do you believe is responsible for it?
Kevin Lynch.
It is Kevin Lynch.
It is. Kevin Lynch, you son of a bitch. I just heard that song the other day, and I was singing it. Gigi's like, what is this song? And I was like, this was on our basketball mix.
Oh, it makes sense from a shot. You're dropping bombs. Sure does.
Oh, my God. It doesn't. That's on no sports mixtape ever.
Well, that's because of the societal implications in reality, but
Yeah. No, what song I loved was As I Lay Me Down by Sophie B. Hawkins. I think that is a perfect song.
Oh, wow. So you just reminded me of Susan Vega, right? Was that during that time? And Heather Nova had some great tracks during that time.
Oh, yeah.
As well. There were...
What's the London song she sings? London Rain? Is that what it's called?
I have to go look it up. It's been a long time.
I wanted to read that, because it was music, because we went from high school to college, and our guest this week played a major role in our collegiate musical experience. Would you say it that way, or would you say
collegiate musical experience? Sure.
Me. Educated here.
When I talked to so Andy, we're having Andy Holtgreive, right? So Andy is still, but specifically during that time, the lead singer for one of our favorite bands that is ingrained in us for the rest of our lives, the band Domestic Problems. And who we discovered, which we're going to have to give credit to Mr. Dale King as well right now.
Yeah,
Dale found Domestic Problems playing at, I believe it was Rick's in Ann Arbor, that he came home one night with the CD and was like, I just saw this amazing band. You've got to listen to this music. It's absolutely incredible. And it just like blew up from there for us.
And they had
But
a massive following, but I didn't hear them until I got back. I was in Miami when you heard them. So I came back here like, I got this band, it's gonna blow you away. And I'm like, I'm not gonna go listen to some local band. And holy cow, was I amazed. Number one, it's the best live show I've ever been to. I mean,
they're
hands down. Now,
amazing.
we were in college and stuff,
Sure.
and I'll put him up against Dave Matthews in the sense of like, you're going there for the music, but when you're there, it's a fun time.
Yeah.
But what makes it fun is how interactive it is. It
For
really
sure.
is
Yeah.
interactive, especially with the music. How many musicians they have on stage.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. You were saying.
No, I don't know. We're just, so you just referenced the music. So I actually, there's a level of it, an aspect of it that I wasn't going to touch on until Andy's on and Andy joins us, because I couldn't agree with you more. He was he and they, but very much so he, because Andy's the kind of guy that, and this is sort of some of the wording I was talking to Carrie about it last night, my wife Carrie. Andy's the kind of guy that like brings the sunshine with him, like wherever he goes, like wherever he is. He's just that personality.
Yeah, everyone knows those kind of people.
It became really obvious really early, like in interacting with him, of like, this is someone that I want to be associated with in some way, shape, or form, right? And so you and I ended up doing a lot of really fun things, with the band, just for fun, because we were obsessed with the music, but probably more so related to the fact of the people that they were.
So a couple things. One is, I have a really, really hard question for you. I would imagine with our listeners, there's going to be some who know Domestic Problems and then some who don't. So what's the first song they should listen to be introduced to?
Oh my God. That is really hard. That's a really hard question. I was thinking something similar to that. So, I mean, as I was thinking about the things, to talk with Andy about, because we're obviously going to touch on his music, but he has a lot of other things going on. And it's been a very long time since that was relevant, to us, right? So heavily. I don't even know how to answer that. So I think one of the most, I don't think I've ever played the Summer in the Sandbox song for anyone that didn't love it, that didn't like, because it's such
even the name is awesome.
100%. It's so unique.
Fun.
It's such a fun, unique take on like first love and like innocence of childhood, and just like, but the music, everything about it. Like, so if you're looking for like, just like that vibe, that essential overall vibe that has a lot of the stuff with the horns in the band and the, whatever. It's that.
If you love Bare Naked Ladies, you're going to love Domestic Problems. If you like Dave Matthews, you're going to love Domestic Problems. If you like that fun, happy music, but they can switch to a ballad or something like that, you're going to love this music. All right, do you have to ebb and flow this since you know Andy, or? Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, I have like nerves like associated with like because it's been so long, we haven't talked with him, like whatever. So, but he's just such a great guy. That's the reason we have him on. But regardless, I'm gonna ebb and flow. Here we go. Andy, it is great to see your face.
Good to see you guys, man. This is such a privilege
for us.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Rick and I were discussing, and I was celebrating the fact that I could actually fit into this big boy right here.
Yes, baby.
That's a win. That's a win. Every time I wear this, I used to show up. You used to tell me, you go, I think we sold 2 of those, and you bought one of them.
Dude, that thing's worth some money. It's so rare.
It's a rarity. I had to go pull it out of the closet.
I think you bought both of
them. Thank you for being on here.
Thanks a lot, man.
Look, and we're having fun. One of the biggest reasons that you are unique in joining this to me when I was thinking about you being on, in the sense that some of our previous guests, we have like a professional relationship or have had one like relatively recently, or we're working with, or or are friends of ours, like direct, that are still embedded in our lives, like, and you fall into this unique category for us, where you were very influential to us and for us, like early on, we were just talking about like around our, and within our college years, and formed like a friendship and a relationship and did a lot of stuff and a lot of fun things together that I want to touch on.
Grab a pillow. This is going somewhere. He'll wake you up when it's done.
I'm just enjoying it all. Yeah, I was a part of your formidable years.
Yeah, absolutely. To summarize, that works. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
we had a lot of firsts together.
Yeah, exactly. But we haven't worked together in a really long time. But when Rick and I were talking about people we'd like to have on the show, like you came up because of your influence on our lives previously. And one of the biggest reasons is knowing the person that you are. Like, so that early on was the type of thing that I was recapping on our intro before we had you on of, as we got to fall in love with your music, it was interactions with you and other band members and whatnot that was really like the magnet, right, to the situation. And all the things that Rick and I did and had fun with for creating like I didn't even pull this out for Rick, whatever, all these bootlegs, like CDs and stuff that we created to, that you let us, come and record and create and have fun making all sorts of, artwork and all that kind of stuff. None of that would have happened had you not been the person that you are. And like the,
yeah, Andy, it was good having you on. Thank you so much.
I like your podcast. I think it's really good.
But so let's dive in there. Let's start with if you're okay with that, because I know you and I had a brief interaction. I know we want to get to like a defining moment. Some we could have multiple, that fall into that, but early on, we, found you and your music, your band Domestic Problems, back in '97, right? Back in when you came and played, in Ann Arbor, and our buddy Dale King heard you guys, and he came home with a CD just raving about how amazing the concert was and how amazing the music is. And then it was just all like, joy and happiness from there forward.
There's a question in here. I swear to God, there's somewhere a question in here.
We're getting there. We're working out. We're getting there. So, oh God, there's so much. There's so much with
All right, let's start with
music. Let me say this. First off, thank you for the kind words. They are very generous. And honestly, to see what you guys have done, to consider us to be a part of your formidable years, or to have helped influence or shape anything that you guys have done to where you are right now and what you're doing, not just on this podcast, but in life, professionally within your families, and how you guys, man, it's a privilege. You guys were always so super enthusiastic and so supportive, and so like you believed in us, I think, more than we believed in ourselves on certain times, it was really cool. So I'm super humbled and consider it a privilege that you guys would want to have me to come in here and talk about old times.
Yeah, exactly.
First of all, it was because you kept you kept making bangers, as the kids say. But Andy, how would you describe Domestic Problems, your music?
That's a good question. I usually when people keep making bangers. Although I will say, Eric you did chastise us for the live album that we did at Club Soda. Rightfully so.
I knew you were going to bring this up.
But why? What was the comment?
Because it was we were late and recording patiently. So we felt like we wanted to do something and get something out there. And so we did this, and we just kind of, it was rushed. It felt like it was rushed, and Eric totally called it out, as you should have, because things were not in order. And I think that when you brought that up to me, it was an important lesson. It was one of those defining moments. I think, to be like, you know what, there are people out there such as yourselves that are paying this close of attention to what we're doing and appreciate the attention that we put into it. And when you look at an album like Play, where there was a ton of intention put into that, and then you go to a live album where we just started kind of throwing it because let's put this one here. Or we do an encore and it's not the last song on the album. That's a little sloppy. So you were 100% right, dude. 100% right. So how would you describe Domestic Problems? We're all over the place, man.
That's not true. That's not true. No, that's not true. You guys have a great sound and across all three studio albums. So I'm going to expand because what I'm hoping is I'm hoping my delivery when you and I talked about that, I hope it wasn't crappy, right? Like, now when I'm looking back on it.
It was a professional. You came at it from a professional producing mind, and that's where you've gone, and that's where you were going, and all of that stuff. When you guys came in and recorded us at the Cubby Bear, which we still have all that footage,
yeah,
and I've done nothing with it, but I've got it. I know exactly where it is.
I've got
it all stored away. Again, you guys brought some intentionality around that stuff. And again, we may have been sort of the practice, which is totally cool. And again, what you now have done and the directions that you guys have gone, man, it's cool to be a part of that. And again, I think it's inspiring that you've taken that level of intentionality to the professional level that you're doing, and look what you've done. So I think it's awesome.
I didn't know Eric was giving you notes, which is always the best after you finish something to get notes. That's always nice.
It's produced. The mass produced.
Yeah, it's already out there, and Eric's like, I got notes.
Just credit though, Ricky. You have to give the fact that he's probably given us, I don't know, 30 different bootlegs. So he's got an opinion about the way a live album should sound.
Oh, I get it. I didn't notice any of that, but that was the first time I heard North Dakota was off that. So it was new material. So it kind of fed that, like, we wanted more and more. So I was looking at it from a fan, not from a perspective of that. But Andy, one thing that I asked Eric before you getting on is, for someone who hasn't heard your music, what's the one song you would want them to hear that represents your music?
That's hard, because I don't think there is just one song.
I know,
because there's so many different.
We're on the same page here, my friend.
For me, what I want people to hear is the energy and the enthusiasm and the optimism and the excitement and the hope and just the energy, right? Because that's a big part of who we are as personality. Not that we're just total spazzes. I mean, we can be, but that there's an excitement and an energy there. I definitely would want people to pick up on that. However, Untitled was probably the most popular song that we had, because GRD's morning show was playing the heck out of it, and people still want to hear that. And so it was, for a long time, it was a hard song to it's such a downer. It's such a, ballad, and, I want that energy. That's what I want people to, whatever song it is, whether it's 24 or Play or Bastard Machine, I think that's kind of what I want people to be energized by. But I guess at the same time too, I like, the fact that people are still interested in hearing tunes like Untitled or My Only Love or James Francis, that are more, a little more tamed down, I guess.
Yeah, but it shows the breadth of your talent. Honestly, It's not, for real. Look, I was thinking yesterday about the fact that I can't tell you the number of people I know personally that have played your music at their weddings, right? Like, that were like for first dances, or like all sorts of stuff between My Only Love and Untitled. And, you know what I mean? Like, some of that's an incredible thing to have come up with, music that touches people so much that they're celebrating it in that way. That's incredible.
Yeah, dude. That's a huge honor. Anytime somebody comes up and says that, it's always like, wow, it just kind of takes me back, and just think that they would want us to be a part of something that special for them. Although Untitled always seemed weird, because it was a song about unrequited love. So I don't know why you'd play that at your wedding, but people do, and they like it because it was, maybe, I don't know, it means something to them. It's not mine anymore. It's their song.
Correct.
And their story.
It's the emotional connection that happens as a result of listening to that music.
Maybe they should play that song at their divorce.
Well, that's true. It could be. Again, you never know.
That's when you should feel honored, when they're like, your song meant so much at our divorce.
All right. On the note of music, Andy, I was thinking, do you have, associated with music in general, I would love if there were any sort of defining moments. I know we're going to get to another one you and I had, touched on, whatever. Yeah. Is there anything like along the lines with music? And because I know you've gone through a journey here, right? Like, between like back the times that we're reminiscing about, but then like having kids and family, moving towards like more kid related things, and like, the evolution of your music, has gone through, various stages. Has there been a defining moment, in some of that evolution that comes to mind?
No. And
that's okay.
I say that because I don't know if I've come to that point yet. And maybe that's part of it, is I always hope like there's something better out there.
More.
There's something that's gonna, and Billy and I did Kids Out. Well, we did Home Again, which was sort of again, more of the ballady stuff that we've collected over the years that I've written, some stuff that he wrote, a beautiful lullaby of his daughter, Lila, my goddaughter, and some really cool stuff that we just didn't feel like was, again, DP, we want, I think, people to think energy. So these were, so we did that, and that was a cool thing. And then we did Jim Dandy and the Fancy Pants, which was more geared towards family and kids. And he wrote a bunch of songs. I wrote a bunch of songs. We covered a song or two in there, and that was fun. And we want to do more with that, again, with our kids. But they're getting older, although I went back and had another young one. So that was just strictly so we could get a little more life out of Jim Dandy and the Fancy Pants.
Smart.
Really give it
business plan.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she's cute. She's super cute. And, she fits the suit and all that, but she fits the pants. So we've had a lot of really cool experiences, right? And then I've done a lot of stuff. I've worked with Michael Crittenden from Troll for Trout, the Colonel down at Mackinac Harvest Music. He and I have written a ton of stuff and recorded a bunch of stuff. Some stuff that I'm just doing right now with a project called Standing Together, and with him and Phil Biggs. And so I've had an opportunity to I think one of the defining moments that I think we can talk about is now, right? Like we're out of we went through a pandemic a couple years ago. That was a defining moment, I think, for the whole world. I think habits and coping mechanisms all changed and got disrupted. And as I just turned 52 this past week, which is weird, crazy.
Jesus, you look
I was
so good.
Happy birthday.
Well, still have my
Happy
baby
birthday.
fat. Thanks, man.
Well, I saw your sign, old man. I love that.
Old fart. It was old fart.
Yeah.
Yeah. My kids gave me a sign. Say happy birthday, old fart. But thank you, Rick, for the compliment and the backhanded compliment at the same time.
No.
Wow, you're 50. You look really
Yeah, I
good.
would have said 50 maybe.
Well, I think anything within the first 5, before or after 50, you're really making that turn, right? You're like, it's a defining moment to say, I've got less in front of me and more behind me.
Yeah.
And when we first got to know each other, we were all, I was in my 20s, you guys were in your teens, and we had the world by the tail. Like anything is possible. And now I think I look at it and I say, okay, maybe I'm not, I could look at this in two lenses. One is that, we didn't achieve what I thought I wanted to achieve from a musical standpoint. But if I look at my life, I've achieved more than I possibly could have imagined. And I don't think I've really started to take that inventory until the last few years to start looking at that. And rather than beating myself up and saying I failed to accomplish this, that, or the other thing, to say, I just want an opportunity to keep creating. And I think if being in the present moment to do that. So you ask, is there one specific moment? I mean, there's been a lot of them, but I just keep looking like, I just want to keep doing it. I'm a partner in a company now called the Collaborative Lab. And it's basically just a pimped out soundstage. It really is it's a really cool place.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. I would love for you guys to see it and check it out. And when you're building a business and a startup, it's rough, right? Like you don't know, you just keep pushing and you're hoping and you think, but part of why I started is I wanted to be able to have it sustain itself. And then I now have access to a platform and, to really do some really cool creative things, not just with me, but with other people. And so, I guess I just always want to be looking for that. I always want to be looking for the next opportunity. And I would say the last couple of years have been darker than others, but now I'm starting to come on to see, what, there's light, there's a silver lining on that cloud out there. So anyways, I just rambled. You can edit all that stuff out.
No, that's the stuff we're interested in. Yeah.
And one of the things you said there, you didn't accomplish what you wanted to musically. Would you have ever been happy? Because you have two massive fans here who I'm introducing my kids to. So, and we're at a different time where music can spread faster now than ever before. So what would have been your kind of castle keep in the music business side of it?
I think there's still I want to say the the fantasy, just like the rock and roll fantasy. You're touring a tour bus, you're playing in front of sold out shows. We just recently took an amazing family vacation to Colorado. It was the best family trip we've ever taken, by bar none. We had an opportunity. Emily's cousin is the front of house guy for Humphreys McGee, and they just happened to be playing at Red Rocks. And I've been to Red Rocks before, but I've never seen a show there. And so he hooked us up, and we were able to see Humphreys McGee at Red Rocks. Humphreys McGee, they may challenge this, but they opened up for us once when we were in South Bend, Indiana. Mm-hmm. And it was cool. And one of the bass player, Ryan, went to my high school. He's like 10 years younger than I am. So there was connection. Those guys ended up moving to Chicago and like really putting it into it. And look how successful they became. I mean, they're playing in front of 10,000 people. I went down into Red Rocks. They've got a really cool area to go in and see. They've got every show listed, and they've got paraphernalia from stuff and shows and pictures. It's like a little museum. And Humphreys McGee was all over the place. So to go back to your question, Rick, it's like part of me, I think in that fantasy of mine, I would love to be able to say, yeah, we're going to play Red Rocks, and we're going to have 10,000 people there, and that energy and that enthusiasm and all the good vibes that you can create at a show like that, to be able to go do that in any market, just about any market. That's the fantasy, I think, in my mind. I think the reality is, I never would have traded that for my family and my life, but the ego part does still, yearn for that. And if we want to get into my true defining moment, the true defining moment was when I got fired. Basically, they eliminated my job. Mm-hmm. And I realized how much our identity is wrapped up into what we do. Mm-hmm. And it still is. And that's probably a pretty normal, natural thing, right? I don't think it's something that is unusual. I don't think it's like, you let yourself get too wrapped up in it. But the reality is, if you don't pay attention to it, you then it's like the tail wagging the dog, right? You get kind of pulled into it versus guiding it and directing it and getting back to that part of the conversation, again, where I am today. I'm incredibly blessed. I've got amazing family. Yeah. I mean, we deal with our stuff and everybody has their stuff, but, I get to be a part of a big family, and I get to, still play music, and I'm super grateful, and still get to create stuff. Do I have to have something super huge? I'm swinging for the fences. I always swing for the fences, but I think that's part of what's starting to shape me a little bit more, is like how much I'm wrapped up in what I think other people think of me versus just trying to be more of a conduit for the creativity and let it come out. And I think earlier on, it was more pure. And then I think as any band progresses, you start to get a little more heady about like what you're creating and why you're creating it and what the intention is. And I would say Patiently was a great album for us, but I think we did that with a lot of intentionality around record album or record labels and we were like, this has got to be our shot. So we're going to put this intention into it. And I think we took a really big step away from who we were a little bit to trying to think of we needed to be somebody else a little bit.
Wow. Did you feel that in the moment, or are you looking back on it thinking that?
I think in the moment we knew we wanted to, like, how are we going to track the labels? What do they want to hear? I think we really did get outside of ourselves. I think everybody would kind of acknowledge that too. Again, it wasn't a bad thing. It wasn't like we did it wrong. It's just the experience of what we did. We used a lot of Pro Tools, and you can hear that in there. And again, part of that is the artistry, right? When you start to get into that, you can appreciate there's an artistry to that. But I think if you look, going back to even your original question, Rick, what kind of band are we? We're a relational band. We want to go out and entertain people. We want to make people feel that they're a part of what we're doing. We want to interact and engage. And that really comes from the live setting. And like I said, I think Play probably captures that better than any album that we did.
I don't disagree with you. Play sounds the most like you guys in terms of the sound, the feeling, what you get out of it. But even now, Patiently, to me, when for so long, when you did Where, you didn't have that outro on there. And that outro is one of the best things on that album. Same thing with Free. Like, the outros are just so good, and like you feel dreamy and stuff. I love it. So like, to me, to hear you say that it's Would you say it's overproduced? Is that what you're saying, or is
No,
it?
no, I don't think it was overproduced. I think it was very well produced. And again, coming from someone like you who has that producer's mind, and you appreciate that artistry. John Fraser was the producer on that, and we gave him, again, it's all learning, right? You go in and you take these steps. Humphreys McGee was like, we're going to go move to Chicago and put all of that effort, and that's a good move, right? That translated into, and or it's all wherever the path leads you. And again, working with John Fraser was great, and I don't want to make that sound like it wasn't, because he's a great Chief Thundercloud is his nickname actually, and you learn to appreciate Chief Thundercloud. And he was like working with a blunt instrument. He would tell you that's what I appreciated about it, is he would come in and say, I've got a vision. He was really working with a producer that was driving it, where Mark Rail, who produced Play, he was more collaborative, right? And again, not one's better or worse, right or wrong. Actually, I think Mark being more collaborative is what got more authentically who we were, captured more authentically who we were. But what John did in that album with the nuances and the subtleties, like you're talking about, the outros, Aware and Free, that's just as cool. It's just going to be more probably on John Fraser's, brush strokes versus just DP.
So you're making these comparisons. In my head, I'm going back and thinking about, I can't tell you the number of times I remember years ago now thinking, I can't believe DP has not blown up. Like, I cannot, like, to your exact point, right, about what you're talking about. Like, I can't believe they're not the huge, band, being such a fan, but that had everything to do with the music, right, that you guys were doing and creating. But I came to learn very quickly that it is there's not a particular formula that's going to get you there. There are so many situations that are circumstantial, right? Associated with who's going to make it, who's going to not. You talk about like the get up and the move to Chicago, right? And that worked out. Yeah, but how many other people have done that? How many other bands have done that and got up and moved and gone, and it went nowhere, right? A zillion, right? Like so it's not like, there's any one particular thing you can go like, well, had we done this at that time, then we know we would have made it. Because it's just so, it's hard. It's so hard. And I still to this day, listening to, to your music, go, God, like, how do we, it goes back to what Rick and I tried to do forever ago and create when we put together like a little electronic press kit for you guys that like we worked on. I don't even remember this. It was when we came up from Miami to your final show, your last show, like you put everybody together at whatever. And before the show, you didn't know we were even doing this or working on this. And we're like, hey, you got some time? And we pulled you and Billy and we played this for you. And it actually set you down this like emotional roller coaster, because I think, and we didn't really understand, like, this was where you guys were going like, hey, we're going to be done doing this like this for some time. And we were putting together this stuff to go, hey, we want to promote you so we can try and get you to that point. It was like this complete, scenario that it was just a thing that we were trying to do because we wanted to promote you guys to that level.
Hey, if you guys want to do that now, let's do it. I'm all you. Bring it. Let's put it together.
So, are you proud that you didn't change just to become big?
Yes. Although again, I think patiently was again, I didn't say it in a negative. It was our willingness to be like, all right, we're willing to be different. We're willing to push ourselves to try to, and again, it was great growth because I think patiently probably we grew. What was great about Adam is we grew as songwriters and structure and really got into, I think it really elevated our songwriting. I think what you're saying in terms of like, I think it really comes down to fundamentally being like, it was a full-time job or not a full-time job. And when it was a full-time job, again, I wrapped a lot of my identity around that. I'm a front man. I'm a lead singer. I'm managing a band. And it was great. And I was proud of that. There was a pride to that. I think now what I'm proud of is that we've been able to sustain it for over 30 years and that it's really still the core members of the band, and the relationship has really sustained. And when we get together and we play, again, it may not be perfect, but everybody's still playing individually, and making sure you got to keep your chops up, or else it really would not be a good thing. But it's good, and it's good. And then the people come and they bring that energy, and it's like a superpower that you just don't know. I'm proud of that. I'm super proud of the fact that we can still have the opportunity to make music.
You've mentioned Patiently a couple of times, a few times with that.
I hate that album.
I'm getting that sense.
Well, as I hear you talking about, like, I have things that are rolling through my head that, like, some of my favorite lyrics of all time, right? Like one of them came off of Patiently, came off of Hey Bartender, of the I tell you I'm trying. You tell me, I've tried that too. I think it's one of my favorite lyrics of all time.
Brilliant. It's brilliant.
So my question to you is, do you have lyrics that you have written that you are proud of, or that like when it came out and when it laid out, you like it gave you chills, or you just knew, that it was the thing?
Yeah, there's definitely lyrics I'm proud of, and stuff that, yeah, definitely. I just had this experience the other day. I don't know, to answer your question though, I don't know if there's like one specific one, but I think what it is it's and Patiently was very much this process, because John, Chief Thundercloud, pushed that process. He wasn't just like, hey, that sounds great, yeah, let's use that. He was always pushing against it. He was always like, challenging it for it to be better, to be better, to be better. And when you knew that you got him to like it, you felt like, yeah, I made it. When you're doing that for yourself and you're not necessarily, recording it or having somebody push back on that, you tend to wonder, is this really the best that it can be? And I wrote this tune for this Standing Together project with Michael Crittenden and Phil Biggs. And Michael's like, let's get in and cut it. Like, come on in. And so I sent him sort of like, I would say 75% of it I recorded it. And the lyrics they were okay, and I think I kind of knew that. But I'm like, hey, let's really challenge this. And Michael did that. We were just, it's having that vulnerability and comfort to hear that and to feel that. That's where you get, I think, to deeper places and more profound lyrics. And that could be anybody. It could be you guys, I mean, collaboration is an art form. And I love to collaborate. So anyway,
to that, one thing about lyrics that I found is what you think is good is different than what Eric thinks is good and what I think is good. Because I think there's lyrics that you guys have that means the world to me that you wouldn't put up on the top lyric we've made. For example, through my whole career is it, forgive me if I'm saying the name wrong, In Good Time, where you're talking about like, we play a little bit different.
Yeah.
So that whole song to me was kind of a driving force to be like, hey, I want to be different. I want to be different. And then in an industry where they don't really want you to be different, they want you to, especially in the television world, do what's been successful before, maybe a little bit better, and keep doing that, get further along with that. So those lyrics to me are like really, really powerful, but I don't think that I would say these are the best lyrics that you've ever written, but it's one of the most powerful songs to me.
I love that. And dude, you captured exactly what that song was meant to be about. Cause we were playing a lot with Pat McGee Band around that time, and they were starting to really take off and do some cool things. And it was, John Najelski, Ned, Electric Johnny, had sort of this tune, right? He sort of had this riff on In Good Time. And the whole concept was like, let's just keep staying our course. And at that point we were full time and we're like, in good time, we keep doing what we're doing. We believed in what we were doing. We believed that it was good. And, rather than trying to have to conform, we wanted to keep going down that path, particularly on the live, show setting. And we played a lot of live shows, and whatever's going to happen will happen in good time. And we got to keep doing it our way and maybe changing things up a little bit, but just be patient. I mean, that was the whole album, patient.
Right. Yeah. You touched on earlier, Andy, that dichotomy is not the proper term for it, but the making sure you're trying to work on creative endeavors, right, in your life, like in some way, shape, or form. I personally have a struggle with how do you find enough time to do everything when it comes to a job, a full-time job. It comes to your family. It comes to, all those things. I find it really difficult to be able to make the time for the passionate pursuit, right? Whether it's a small thing or a large thing or whatever. Like, how have you figured out how to manage that, if that makes sense? Like because you do continue to still do things, right? So how has that process been for you?
Thank you. It really played to my ADHD. I think that's, I'm being totally serious. Like, if you start to understand, attention deficit disorder, and I'm still understanding it, but I do acknowledge that it's definitely a part of who I am. I read a great book called Atomic Habits. Have you guys read that?
Yep.
You said read, so the answer is no.
Yeah. Well, they have them in audio books too,
Oh,
Rick.
well,
So,
perfect.
and pop-ups. And a pop-up, I think. It's got soft, squishy. The edges won't cut you when you turn the page. It's nice. But James Clear wrote this book called Atomic Habits. And I think the one statement out of the whole thing that I think encapsulates the concept is good habits are the compounding interest of progress. And the idea of compounding, meaning, you're kind of going along, and then all of a sudden this hockey stick, right? I think that's one piece of it. And then the other piece of it is that you're going to fall off, right? At least I am. I appreciate the kind words, Eric, but I don't get it right every time. And I don't, there's all sorts of things that can come into play, and songs that I probably had for 30 years that I haven't finished, and things like that. So you can always look back on that. I think the key is to be able to look back on those things with compassion while still being able to just say, I moved it from here to here, here to here. Incremental, small incremental steps over time will win the race. I think, maybe it's because I'm 52 now and not 22 or 32. It's funny. You feel like you got all this time, but you got to go, 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 go. And now it's like, I don't have that much time. I need to just appreciate where I'm at. It's it's a life pendulum switch.
Yeah.
I have a cheat for you, a life hack. You seem like a really good family man. I found if you want to get things done, just don't care about your family. Let them, anytime they come up to you, hey, I'm busy. Sorry. Go in your room. Life hack.
Rick, you ask my wife, that's the same question. How does Andy do it all? He doesn't do it all.
Well, I think you're clearly still appealing to the artist inside of you, though, like as you're going, which is, I'm sure is critical to being able to allow you to be who you are, right? For your family and for, in life and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's impressive.
Can I say one thing though, too, is it's always, this just goes back to life is greener on the other side. Like, I've had this pretty decent career. All I would have wanted out of life is to play one show, like Domestic Problems, like just one to have. And I mean that in all seriousness. Like I write really bad songs right now, and I play really bad guitar, which I would love to talk to you about the chords to 24 because it doesn't make sense to me. Like you're doing
the
like
easiest
G,
chords
No, but it's like a G to this, like a C almost, but you're hammering down the finger on the bottom string. That doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? But
it's part of my genius.
I picture myself when I'm playing by myself, and the kids leave because I don't want anyone seeing this. But I picture myself playing at like the Blind Pig or something, and you got to do it at such a high level where people were excited to come see you.
So do you want to hear my defining moment?
Yeah. Let's do it. We got a couple minutes left.
We got 12 minutes left.
And I prepared a song that I can play for you too.
Outstanding. Shit.
But I haven't played it in a while, so I had to put the lyrics out, so I've got it all up here. But I'm happy to do it.
I love everything about this.
So the defining moment I was going to talk about was losing my job. So I work for Hospice of Michigan, and during the pandemic, about 2 months into it, they decided to eliminate my position. And there's a lot of reasons for it, a lot that I need to be accountable to as well. But it was hard. It was they got rid of the upper middle management, And that was all that they said, is like, yeah, we decided to eliminate your position. Okay, great. They did give me a lot of time, so I had time to think it out. Now, what's nice about that is I didn't have to like scramble too hard quickly. So it gave me a chance to figure out what I wanted to do. At the same time, my current partner, Brad, owned a live events company called Aria Show Technology. And he and I basically connected through Al McAvoy. If you remember Al,
Yeah.
he's our engineer. Yeah. And they wanted to do this test. They took basically his warehouse where he kept all his big equipment stuff and turned it into a live streaming studio. And DP played a concert. I don't know if you guys remember, but in July of 2020, we did a concert. We got 300 people to log in and we raised $10,000. And they're like, proof of concept, go out and sell this. And I'm like, well, I'm looking for a job. I can go out and do this while I'm looking for a job. Yeah. So I just start calling buddies of mine that are in, positions of, again, as you get older, they move up the C-suite. And then they had clients, and during the pandemic, we were doing a lot virtual production. Brad ended up buying a 50 by, 15 foot by 50 foot LED wall.
Wow.
Has an 8K resolution. And we've been talking throughout this whole process with another partner that does more the analytics side, the marketing analytics side. And he leased a building and he's like, let's go do this. And we're like, okay, let's form a partnership. And so we did. And we formally called it the Collaborative Lab. And it's got a huge stage. It's got an LED wall. It's got 38 intelligent lighting fixtures. It's got music. It's a sound system that will blow your mind. It's incredible. The majority of what we're trying to build it on is based on corporate work, right? So a way for them to up their production game, do some hybrid. We can host 100 people live and then broadcast it to the world and make the production value really, really high. And at the end of it, if they want, we can also help them create that content or get it to creative people such as yourselves that can then take it and then turn it into, evergreen content for whatever. So that's what we've been doing. And we've been breaking even with it. And about a year ago, I was doing it 100%. I was just kind of working on commission based on what I was selling. And I got to the point and I said, I can't do this. I can't continue to do this anymore. And that became a really second it was like, it felt like I lost my job all over again. And I walked. And so I said, I gotta stop, because I can't make enough money doing this. So we need to get somebody else in there. And it was a good move. And the business is, I think in some ways I've gotten out of the way of it. And so we're just trying to build it up. But the idea of, who am I and how am I, identifying and defining myself, became a really central part of a lot of what I've been thinking about, letting go of, redefining, having a beginner's mind and, not just assuming that, oh, you have to be Andy from Domestic Problems, right? People have this idea of who Andy, he's this, jolly, happy, good, and there are moments when I'm not. And so rather than trying to pretend that I'm got to be this other person, I've got to just sort of be who I am. And that's based on what I believe. And it changes every day. So I think when you get it, I wrote a tune and I'm happy to play it for you. It's called It's Hard. And I wrote it during the pandemic when everybody was losing their job. And I thought, hey, here's something. And I did release it with Nora, my little, at the time, probably 4 years old. She was playing ukulele. I can send you the video too of that. And I've never recorded it other than that. And I really like it. It's one of my favorite tunes right now, but I haven't played it in a while. So if you want, I'm happy to play it for you.
Love that.
This is what I was hoping you would do. I didn't want to ask, but I was hoping you would do this.
All right. So, yeah, during a time when a lot of people were losing their jobs and things were changing and people were defining themselves by their roles and losing those roles, this song came out and it definitely captured what I was feeling, and I hoped it captured what other people were feeling too, and realized that you get a choice, right? You don't have to necessarily be defined by what other people or what you think actually other people are thinking about you. You can, you can feel what you feel, but realize it comes down to who you choose to believe. All right. It's hard. hard not to hurt when they treat you like dirt, like some gum on a shoe. You don't know what to do. It's hard not to hurt. It's hard not to get pissed when they do things like this again and again, just a means to an end. It's hard not to get pissed, but you gotta believe it's only just a matter of time for everything to come and go, ebb and flow. You need the lows to have all the highs. It's hard not to lose hope when you feel like a dope, thinking all that you are only got you this far. It's hard not to lose hope. It's hard not to cry, and you don't know why. Like you did something wrong and you just wanna move on. It's hard not to cry, but you gotta believe it's only just a matter of time for everything to come and go, ebb and flow. You need the lows to have all the highs. It's hard not to be me when you see what I see. I'm sure you'd have to agree. It's what you choose to believe. It's hard not to be me. I'm sure you'd have to agree. It's what you choose to believe. It's hard not to be me.
Oh my God. I got chills, buddy.
I do too. I love every second of all of that.
Song.
Did it balance okay? Did it sound okay?
It did for sure.
Okay.
It did,
It did. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
So I'm listening to that, and I just want to address kind of the comment you mentioned going into that about you don't have to be that bubbly, happy guy all the time. I think it's great that you're acknowledging being who you are at your core, whenever that may be. So it's not a question as much as giving you props for understanding that now later in life to be who you are, however that is, not what somebody's expecting of you.
Thank you, man. And actually that's been a really, really important thing, even as of lately. And what I'm learning and actually I'm working on a process right now through a process to learn to relate to your anxiety differently. And it doesn't have to mean what the thoughts in your mind or the emotions that you feel. That it doesn't have to mean those things. You can actually pay attention to it and relate to it differently. And when you think about that, that extends to your spouse, your kids, your friends, your community, your coworkers, and it becomes a much bigger thing. And I certainly don't have it mastered or licked, but I certainly am inspired to pay more attention to it. And the fact that you point that out means a lot to me. So I appreciate it.
There's a couple things. One is I love how relatable that song is, because no matter what level you are, you could be starting out, you could be in the middle of your career, at the end of your career, middle of your family, end of your family, all that's relatable, everything you just did there. But I want to make sure that we touch on this, and then we'll let you go because I know you got to go. Can you explain your podcast to us and promote it so we can get it out there?
Yes, would love to. So, we did a podcast called Talking to Death. It came from a conversation with my cousin Amy, and my nephew Ryan is producing it with us. And both Amy and Ryan have journalistic backgrounds, and I have worked in healthcare as well as hospice, for pretty much my entire professional career outside of music. And what I think the premise of the conversation is, and anybody that's anywhere near associated with end of life, they talk about the conversation, and it's about a dialogue, and it's about processing through our words, and identifying things that are important to us, identifying things that we value. And so we wanted to do a podcast that just encouraged that conversation. And we figured it's an important thing to do. We're all really super passionate about it because the way people die matters. And we've got more people approaching the end of life in the history of the world. Let me repeat that. We've got more people approaching end of life in the history of the world today, and how they are experiencing that and how we're communicating and processing that matters. And it can actually impact the way we evolve as a world and as a culture and as a, universe. I mean, however far you want to take it, it's important, and it doesn't have to be serious and heavy all the time, but it can be. Yeah. And again, just same thing that I'm trying to do right now with myself is learning to relate to it differently. If we can learn to relate to end of life differently for our loved ones, for ourselves, for strangers, what kind of impact can we have on the world as a result of that? So we set out, we did our first season. We just finished it up. We're going to do a talking to death, where we're going to invite anybody that wants to come in. We're going to have a big giant Zoom call here, probably in the next couple months. And then we've already started season 2, and this one will be more geared towards guests. So we're bringing in guests that have different relationships with end of life. And, same kind of thing, man. If it's not music, we're creating something. And I am so privileged to be doing this with my cousin, Amy, who I love like a sister, and my nephew, Ryan. It's super cool. And I just hope to be able to do it for a really long time.
I absolutely love it. Just my own personal experience. I haven't caught up on all of season 1 yet, but the way you guys are approaching topics, and you've already brought up numerous things that have changed the way that I've thought or already shared with other people in terms, that you guys have brought up has been great. So you're doing it. You're making a difference.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
Well, and we don't claim to be getting it right either, because there are some people that have come up and said opposing things to us. Like, I think you should be able to say I'm sorry when somebody dies, because we talk about you shouldn't really say that because you make it about you.
Right.
And it's like, great, let's talk about it. Yeah. Like, let's oppose each other. And in some ways, we've got to be able to do this on different aspects of life, politically, other things. We got to be able to hear opposing positions and debate it. And it's not one answer out there. We've all got to be able to just have a conversation.
For sure. And you've done a great job expressing on there that these are your opinions based on your experiences. You're not saying it's, this is the end all be all, in my opinion, with how that's, so it's.
Yep. And we have the opportunity to put stuff out there, and you have an opportunity to listen to it or not listen to it. It's totally up to you.
Yeah,
that's right.
For sure. For sure. All right. We clear. We've gone over our time, Andy. There are so many things that I could talk about for forever, but we'll get caught up another time on some of those things. Thank you from the bottom of our heart, Andy, for taking the time to be on.
Thank you guys
for shaping our careers.
You guys keep giving me credit for that. I'm going to be looking for royalty checks.
I don't listen to your music at all. I don't have it anywhere near me.
No, it's been an honor. It's been such an honor and great to connect with you guys. I look forward to continuing the conversation with you, and thank you for asking me to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Andy.
You guys rock. Appreciate it.
You're the best.
Love you guys. Bye.
Right at the end, my dog comes in and pees on the floor.
Oh, we did get a pee into the episode.
We did get a pee in the episode. Hold on.
Oh, we're back to the quality content. There it is. Yeah, I'll let you. Well, while Rick's over there dealing with his dog pee, I'll bring up a couple other items that I didn't bring up in the thing because I was already doing too much talking as it was. But like as far as like the formative year scenario, I showed the DP play CD earlier or whatever. but the entire band, this was actually, and I dated it on here. This was my 21st birthday. On my 21st birthday, we went to Chicago.
Was I there?
No, you were down in Florida.
Happy birthday.
We drove out from Ann Arbor. We went, Ann Arbor to Chicago and to catch them play and, for the evening, and I celebrated my 21st birthday with them, which is fun. I mean, mildly formative, but just like very I don't know, poignant and monumental for, you know, some of your journey, especially when you're that age.
And with that, I got to get going. However, let me end with this because we didn't do this last week and my mom loves it when we do it. Mom!
All right. Are we done? Are we done?